We are at the Boorowa Central School, which is our first Meet the Producers event for the This Is My Brave Australia Storytelling Saves Lives event in Boorowa in 2025.
Hi, I'm Jane. I've come with Tim from Canberra and we're getting involved with the Boorowa community and hopefully running a fantastic show for This Is My Brave.
What did your t-shirt say?
Oh, and if you are a cast member, you get given a free t-shirt. So I encourage you.
Excellent.
G'day there, Lynn Diskin. I'm with Boorowa Rotary and we're hosting Tim and Jane and This Is My Brave program here in Boorowa.
It was Lynn who originally contacted This Is My Brave after we did a show together for Mental Health Foundation, MHF, Mental Health Foundation, back in Canberra a few years ago. Lynn always talked about wanting to do another show, and finally she invited us up to meet the Boorowa Rotary Committee. We had a chat, and then 6 months later she got back to me and said, let's do a show. So here we are. It's December 1st, 2024. We're doing a Meet the Producers event, just to let everybody know in town what the show is all about, and hopefully get some information out there and get some people to come and audition. What's your name?
Ange Webb or Ange Hart.
Ange Hart, that I know you from Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what do you do, Ange?
Many things. So I'm an artist under the name Ange Hart. I'm an artist, a visual artist. I do a lot of abstract paintings and sculpture, which I love. And then my psychologist name, because I'm a registered psychologist, is Angela Webb.
Okay.
So yeah, I've got my own psychology business. We've got offices in Parkes, Carra, Walker and Young. And yeah, I've got a team of beautiful mental health clinicians, and predominantly we are trauma focused and we do EMDR, which is a type of psychotherapy.
How long have you been in Boorowa?
Oh, we moved here in July 2017.
So, you're wearing the This Is My Brave t-shirt.
I am.
How did you come to be wearing the This Is My Brave t-shirt?
I came into possession of it this morning. Thank you, Tim, for giving it to me.
Sorry.
So I'm helping out with the This Is My Brave project here in Boorowa. Lynn Diskin, who is a Rotary guru, decided to bring the This Is My Brave program to Boorowa, and they were looking for someone who was mental health trained in the local community. And she asked me if I'd be interested to help out. And I said, happy days.
So why were you interested in helping out? Why do you think that This Is My Brave, well, the concept and the program that we run is important?
Oh, Tim, it's a fabulous program. I've done a lot of research and had a look on your website and had a look on your socials, and I just think the ability for people in the local community to stand up in front of others and tell their unique stories about their mental health journey and their triumphs over mental health is just stigma breaking within that community. And I think our small community needs that right now.
Yeah, it seems to be really important in the smaller communities. So it's interesting because you'd think in the smaller community that everyone's really close, but it's different, isn't it?
Absolutely. And sometimes people they look like they're well set up and they've got some really great connections, but they might still feel isolated.
Yeah.
Or not able to, like they might have a facade and they're like, oh yeah, everything's great, everything's fine and dandy, sunshine, lollipops and rainbows, but underneath they're too scared to let people know that they might be struggling.
And obviously that's where This Is My Brave event comes in, because we get people to share their stories to the community. And what we find really important is that we use people from the local community to tell those stories. Why do you think that's important as well?
Oh, well, it's a grounds up, community development initiative, I suppose. You're not bringing someone in, fly out, FIFO or Dido, drive in, drive out, that says, okay, this is what we're going to do and, we're going to run it for you. Whereas this is more a grounds up approach, getting those people from the local community to tell their story back to their community. And then they become advocates and mentors, I suppose, for other people who might be hesitant to reach out or don't know how to reach out and say, oh gosh, I saw that guy stand up in front of 100 people and tell his story. How vulnerable. But I'm actually going to go and have a yarn to him and just work out how he got help or how he got through.
And we've already heard a couple of stories yesterday. That was pretty amazing, wasn't it? So,
Absolutely. There was two stories that brought me to tears.
Yeah.
Like there was one person who performed a soliloquy, and it was just so well thought out, so fabulous. And it didn't actually go through all of their mental health struggles or a diagnosis or anything like that, but they talked about how this thing kind of followed them around like a bad smell, and how it became so big and overpowering at times. And then this person learned how to kind of shrink it and deal with it. And it was always going to be there, but he had control over it rather than his diagnosis having a control over him, which
and
was magic.
yeah, it was great actually. And because we're sitting right in the middle of the farming community, we also heard a story from a farmer, didn't we?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So someone who, yeah, had to make a really, really hard decision around farming, but made the right decision because he's still here with us now.
Yeah.
You know, if he hadn't have made that decision, very possibly he could not be with us now.
It's it's been pretty amazing. So when it's a process that we go through about integrating into the community and trying to get people to have some more awareness around mental health. What do you see is a good way of getting people aware about mental health and it not being a stigma, but something that we can freely talk about?
And I think celebrate as well. Like with every mental health journey, there's some sort of triumph over that mental health, you know, and sharing those stories within the community is it's vulnerable. Like I take my hat off to all those people who are sharing their stories and who have been, you know, doing the auditions and who are going to perform in front of their community. But I think there's a certain type of magic that people will look at someone's facade, they'll look at their face, you know, they'll look at their mannerisms around town, they're like, geez, that person's got it together. And then they'll see them on stage and go, I had no idea that they went through that, you know, absolutely, excuse my French, shit show to get to where they are now. So I think that's the magic about it, that we don't just assume that someone looks a certain way. They, you know, they might look normal, but they've had all of this going on underneath, you know. And then I think there's that stigma of someone who's been through a mental health illness, that they look a certain way, or they walk a certain way, or they talk a certain way. And that's just not true. So breaking down that stigma, and mental illness does not discriminate. It can wipe anyone in.
We saw that yesterday, didn't we? So with the different people who were sharing their stories, it was amazing. So do you think that this event will have a ripple effect within the community?
Definitely, definitely. And I'm not even going to say I hope so, because I know it will. I know that people that are sharing their stories will talk about that, sharing their stories, and that'll filter through the community. Also, the when we're doing the rehearsals and things like that, the people that are sharing their stories will actually, I think they'll form a bit of a group or a bit of a bond, you know, a shared connection with that shared experience and that lived experience. But I think the catalyst is going to be people who come along and actually see the performance. And I know the way that you're trying to get the performance to roll like a theatrical kind of production. And I think for Boorowa that's going to be magic. So as many people that can come along and even bring their kids too. I think it's is it a Sunday afternoon in June?
In June, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
June 2025, and it'll be at the Boorowa Central School Hall.
It will be.
Yeah. So as many people that can come along to that will be amazing.
Yes. The good thing about that is that you probably know everybody who's there.
Probably.
And you'll be surprised by some of the stories. I mean, even brought you to tears yesterday, some of the stories.
I was listening and I could just feel these big drips of water coming out of my eyes. I'm like, oh, Ange, what's going on?
And it's not that it's sad, it's just that it's so poignant, isn't it? So
just the courage and just the tenacity of these people who have been through it is just, it's magical.
Yeah, it is.
And you could feel it. You could nearly touch the power of that story in the room.
And that's what we try and get across to people, is to come along to the show, because then you're going to have a big room like that, where you can feel it in the air of people supporting, feeling those stories, and then in a non-judgmental, wonderful way of supporting people in their community who have done it tough at times. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it'll bring other people forward who have been doing it tough, that didn't know that, you know, they don't need a label and they don't need a classification, but they're like, oh my gosh, that's what I've been going through. That's the way been thinking. And I'm not abnormal. This is actually normal.
Thanks, Ange.
Happy days.
Thanks for coming in and joining the group and wearing the t-shirts and promoting the whole thing. So
Thank you for coming to Boorowa.
No, that's fine. No,
Doing the program with
I
us.
love coming to the regional community because they need it so much. They're crying out for it. So happy to come, and everyone welcomes me with open arms, which is great. So thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to the performance.
Okay, cool. I'll shut up.
Hi everyone, a very warm welcome to today's production. My name is Julie Poplin, a Boorowa Rotarian, and I've been given the honour of opening today's proceedings. The show you're about to experience has been produced by This Is My Brave Australia, more commonly known as TIMBA. What is TIMBA? It is a mental health charity dedicated to breaking the stigma associated with mental health and illness, one story at a time. This company looks after all the technical aspects of auditioning, rehearsing, staging, ticketing, etc. that ensures the show happens, and we thank them for their expertise. A thank you to Angie Webb, psychologist from AWI Services, for her support of the participants through this process and being available to speak with anyone here who would like to have a chat about anything or anyone that is causing them issues or anything that arises from the story told today. Today's show, A Song of Resilience, has been made possible thanks to the sponsorship of Mainline Dino, along with the Rotary Club of Boorowa. We Rotarians are very grateful to Mainline Dino for their major contribution and to the local community whose support of the Boorowa Community Op Shop allowed our club to raise the remaining funds required. A very special and sincere thank you to all the locals who have volunteered to share their stories with us. Your generosity and your courage is greatly appreciated. And to you, the audience, our deepest thanks for your attendance today, and we hope that the show informs and inspires you. And remember, if needing to chat after the show, Angie's available. Thank you.
Going up a little bit. There we go. My name's Tim Daly. I'm the Executive Officer and founder of This Is My Brave Australia. The reason that we're in Boorowa is because of Lynn Diskin, who we did a show with in Canberra a few years ago, and Lynn promised that she'd bring one to Boorowa, and she finally did. So thank you, Lynn, for the invite. On the second page of the program, I've written a foreword, but I'm not going to read it because you can all read it, and I've got a few words to say that I want to say about what we're doing today. We go around the country doing this, finding people from the local communities to share their stories, and there's always people who are willing to put their hand up to share their stories. And sometimes there's people who can't, which is a shame, but they're not far enough along on their mental health journey to be able to share quite yet. And we totally understand that. But they've put their hand up, and we know they're on the right path to doing the right thing and sharing their stories, but it's not for everybody. The reason that we do this is that we're an addition to the mental health services that are out there. Mental health services do their job, which is great, but what sometimes gets lost in the process is the voice of the person who's going through the process. I think I was saying to somebody just before, I read an article about the long waits in emergency departments for people with mental health issues. In one of the cases, it was up to 33 hours that they waited in ED. And I mean, that's bad for anybody, but someone who's put their hand up and said, I need serious help for my mental health condition, it's not conducive to sit in ED for 33 hours. But I read the article and it quoted the hospital, it quoted the nurses, it quoted the doctors, didn't quote any of the patients, did not get their perspective on the whole thing. And I think that's what's missing a lot of the time, is that perspective from the person with the lived or living experience. And that's what we're doing today, is that we're giving you the perspective from the person who's living the journey. And hopefully it resonates with some of the people in this room to say, oh, maybe I'm going through the same thing and maybe I need to put my hand up, because early intervention is critical, is so critical about managing someone's mental health. I mean, even if just you've been feeling sad for a couple of weeks, that's the time to put your hand up and go see the GP and just say, look, I'm going through this at the moment. It doesn't need to be a crisis. By the time you get to crisis, sometimes it's too late. Let's get there before. The people behind us can lead you on that journey because they've been through it. And it's wonderful that they're all here today to share their stories. We really hope you get something wonderful out of it. Usually at this time in any event, people tell you to turn your phones off, put them away. I'm telling you, take your phone out. Record this. Send messages to people to tell them where you are, because what we're trying to do is get a message out to people. We want as much as what we call the ripple effect coming from this event out into the community to say, we're out here talking, we're talking about this, it's okay to talk about it. We build these scenarios to give people a safe space to talk about mental health, rather than, as we keep saying, stigmatising the subject itself. The more we brush it under the carpet, the worse it gets, and people are stigmatised and shamed and feel that they are worthless and can't get help. Of course they can get help. I've got people at the back of the room here who are going to help you. They're here today. You can go and see them and talk to them straight away. So the help is out there. People just need to be encouraged to put their hand up and get some help. So our next speaker is Nikita Beatty. When she's not bathing in the stars or chasing the aurora, you'll find her working in a garden or rescuing plants from her local garden centre. Today, she'll be sharing some insight on what it's like to run a business and live with BPD, borderline personality disorder, chronic depression and PTSD. Please join me in welcoming Nikita, the gardener from Cowra.
Hello, everybody. All right, thank you for coming. I just need to get my notes out of this belt. Thank you for coming on this very cold day. Often it deters people from leaving the house. All right, so as mentioned, my name is Nikita. I'm a horticulturalist in Cowra, and this is my action figure. It's pretty much me to a T, including the multiple pairs of pink shoes. But what that box doesn't show you are my invisible accessories, the ones that I acquired throughout my life's journeys, and they are chronic depression, borderline personality disorder, and PTSD. They aren't your traditional accessories, they aren't ideal, but they have helped me cope through some very difficult and traumatic events, and I'd like to share with you some strategies on how I manage my symptoms. 10 years ago, I started a gardening business because I have a passion for growing things, and I don't mind getting my hands dirty. I'm a qualified horticulturalist, and gardening is where my heart is the happiest. BPD is probably the strongest influence in my day-to-day life, and these are some traits of it and how I deal with them. Impulsive behavior. Impulsive behavior convinced me to move to the best country in the world, start my own business, and take risks that the average person may not take. It helps me to seek out opportunities and adventures that help me grow my business. The obsessive compulsive behavior. I have an obsession to save plants from my local garden center, and I also have a compulsion to spend money. How I make that work for me is I spend money on the sick plants, I take them home and I nurture them, and then I sell them onto Marketplace, or I incorporate them into a garden that I've designed and that I look after. This helps me to recoup the money back, plus everybody feels like they're getting a deal. The obsessive behavior forces me to do all of my jobs at 110%. It ensures that I'm consistent at giving high quality work to my clients, and it helps me to do better and to be better. Frequently changing jobs. This one is no problem for me because instead of changing my main core job, I have several different clients with a variety of different needs. I always have clients that move away, or they change their garden ideas, or they no longer need my assistance. But I'll always have something different to do when I go to work, and it keeps my brain busy. Creating things really stabilizes my symptoms. Being my own boss helps me with the flexibility that I need on my days that aren't so great. I don't have the desire to change my career because, to me, this is the perfect job, and it suits my personality and the life that I want to live. Unstable self-image. Look, I literally wear a hat every day to work, no makeup, and I come home filthy. I don't have much human interaction, and the plants don't criticize my appearance. I am my happiest in my work uniform. I wear it just about every day. It fits me, it's comfortable, and I don't have to think about it, so it's one less stress off my list. Feeling empty and lonely. I'm still working on this one. I have a void that nothing fills, and it's very hard. However, I have found that serving others and helping people in their gardens make me feel like I have a purpose, and that helps me out a bit. I also go home to my dogs that show me unconditional love and acceptance. There are heaps of positive traits that people with BPD have, and I'd like to share those with you. With BPD, we become exceptionally resilient people. We are your best friend, your biggest cheerleader, and we will help you reach your goals that you never thought imaginable. We are passionate and emotional people, so when we say, we get it and we feel your pain, we do at depths that you can't imagine. We are curious and creative, resourceful, so include us in your ideas and events, and you will see us shine. Try to think of yourself as a plant. Place yourself in a healthy and safe environment so that you can thrive. Remove the things and the people that are sucking the life out of you, eating away at you, and poisoning you. It is okay to learn boundaries and to use them to protect your peace. Be patient with yourself. We all go through seasons, and you will bloom when your time is right. Remember that you are more than your diagnosis, and we can beat the stigma of mental health by continuing to share our stories with one another. So look after yourself, check on your mates, because we all deserve the sunshine.
Our next speaker, I think, doesn't need an introduction, but I'll give him one anyway. Who doesn't know Jimmy Sheehan? Two people. I keep going around and I meet people and I say, oh, do you know Jimmy Sheehan? They go, yeah, I know him. So Jimmy's contribution to today is 5-1, Taming the Black Dog, a soliloquy that doesn't play nice. It plays with the silence between the notes, the unsung verses behind a smile. It's the feedback beneath the polished track, the offbeat rhythm you can't ignore. Not all is as it appears. Some smiles are just backup vocals to a scream no one hears. When his piece is done, he wants you to ask this. When you ask, is someone really okay? Are they? Or are they just stuck on repeat, masking the chaos with a well-rehearsed chorus? This item asks you to listen closer, because sometimes the loudest cries are buried in the quietest songs. Jimmy Sheehan.
Hi everyone, my name is James. To some of you, I'm Jim or Jimmy. I'm an accountant, a bean counter if you will, by the day. And on the weekends, when the sun's gone to bed, I'm an entertainer. I have a karaoke and trivia business. I'm married, no kids just yet. I'm the oldest of 4 siblings and the son to a widow. In my 34 years on this earth, I've been many things. I've been a teacher, a student, a mentor, a rock. I'm in my prime, I'm loved and I'm needed. But sometimes late at night, as I toss and I turn, I wake up in icy cold sweats and remember that I've been other things. I've been a puddle on the floor. I've been the dirt on somebody else's shoe. And that's when the light leaves and the black dog arrives. This damn thing, it's been biting at me for years and we've been inseparable since I was about 12. So sit back, folks, turn up the volume and listen to my story. 5. The black dog. It comes quietly at first, just a few metres behind me, a few subtle yelps, just like a newborn pup. But by the night, it's fed by the darkness. The whine becomes a howl. Its cold breath sends a shiver down my spine. My loneliness, it's conjured up something sinister. I try to ignore it, but I pretend like it's not there, but try as I might, it grows. Bolder, louder, stronger. 4. Growing larger and larger, it's not going away. The black dog, it becomes my constant companion. It sits next to me on my daily drive. It sits across the desk from me at work. It's even made itself welcome in my own bed. There's no moment of respite. It becomes hard to ignore. It uses its weight pressing on my chest and leaves me short of breath. Try as I may to shoo it away, it just bares its teeth. As I stare into its eyes, I see nothing but the abyss. The black dog, it's completely taken over. This just feels like a battle that cannot be won. 3. I feign a smile. I try to overshadow the howls with the laughter. My mates, they don't see the beast and I don't talk of it either. As the days turn to weeks and the weeks turn to months, it feels like there's no escape. You're just not good enough for anything and you're better off not here. These words, they swirl around and round in my head like a cyclone in my mind. And you say, that's it, you've won. But then one day, there's a glimmering flash of light, the outstretched hand of a loved one, the smile from a stranger, that mate finally asking, are you okay? I awaken from this long, cold slumber, beaten and bruised, not on the outside, but on the inside. Then there comes a sudden realisation, I will not be defeated. 2. Day by day I grow stronger, and the black dog, the more I speak about it, the weaker it gets. It almost returns to its puppy form, tripping over itself and occasionally nipping at my heels, but it's easier to maintain. Some days it howls loud and tries to show who is alpha. The memory of its former power weighs heavy on my chest. But now it is I that is the alpha. I no longer fear the shadow it casts. 1. And now here I stand before you today. The black dog, it's still here with me. But it does not define me. I've learned to live with it. After all, without the light, there is no darkness. And although it may tug at the leash again and again, I am the author of my destiny. I am bolder, louder, stronger.
Trauma occurs in everyone's life and can affect people socially, emotionally, physically, and most importantly, mentally. One never knows when trauma may occur or how one will cope or deal with it, nor the impact it will have. Our next speaker will talk about the effects of 2 traumatic events in her life. The first occasion was when she was principal of Mittagong Public School, and the second occurred after she had retired. Jenny Carter grew up in Boorowa, lived away for 50 years, and returned in 2014. Please welcome Jenny Carter.
So, good afternoon, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Jenny. And today I am speaking about trauma and its effects. Everyone experiences trauma to some degree during their life. Trauma does not have to be a massive life-changing event. It can be something in the scheme of things which may appear very trivial. I'm going to tell you about traumatic events in my life with an emphasis on 2 events in particular. One which illustrates a minor event and the other a very major event.
All right, thank you, Jenny. Our next speaker is Lynn Diskin, a mother of 4, grandmother of 14, and a great-grandmother of 4 so far. Are they still going, are they?
Well, 14 grandkids, only 2 have had children.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you've got a lot to go. Lynn has spent most of her working life in event management and mostly in community development. She has worked with unemployed people, homeless people, street kids, volunteers, and with First Nations organisations. And after having moved around a lot, mostly due to work, Lynn chose just over 12 years ago to come and live in Boorowa, has never regretted it, and you will often find her at the op shop. Welcome, Lynn.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, everyone. I hadn't originally intended to be here doing this today, but we had a very late withdrawal, so yes, I put my hand up. Many of you here today do know me to some degree or another, and to you, I often seem to be a strong and self-confident person. Well, I'm here to tell you I am not. I am constantly filled with feelings of self-blame, guilt, I have lack of interest, I often feel that I'm less than. I frequently have very low motivation, lack of energy, trouble concentrating, and very poor self-esteem. I'm often, as I said before, self-critical, socially withdrawn. I have a fear of not being good enough, of being caught out, and I have a difficulty accepting compliments. Nah, no way. Most of you will say, that's not the Lynn we know. Well, it's true. My closest friends do know that it's true. They know that I've got a row of Oscars on a shelf in my home. That is, they know I'm very good at acting strong and confident. But I often, with that, feel as though I'm an imposter, a phony, a fraud, a sham, a pretender. I have been diagnosed with what is called a major depressive disorder. With that, I researched and I've discovered there are many causes of this, including, but not limited to, genetics and environmental things, such as stressful life events, childhood abuse. I've also discovered that depression is often linked to a lower ratio of certain chemicals in the brain. So, what is my story? So, as I finish, I'll finish with this particular little bit. Here is a $100 note. Hands up those who want me to give them $100. Okay? What if I do that? Who wants it now? Who wants it now? That's interesting. Do you know, that shows us a very valuable lesson. No matter what I did with the money, You still wanted it because it did not decrease in value. It is still worth $100, correct? Many times in our lives, we are dropped, crushed, ground into the dirt by the decisions we make or circumstances that come our way. We often feel as though we are worthless. But just like this $100 note, no matter what has happened or what will happen, you will never lose your value. Dirty or clean, crumpled or finely creased, you are still priceless. Broken in mind or body, you are still priceless. You may never know the lives you touch, the hope you can bring to others. The worth of our lives comes not from what we do or who we know, but it comes from who we are. You are special. Don't ever forget that. So count your blessings, not your problems, and ask for help. Yes, you can, even if it's just to have a chat with someone. And remember, amateurs built the Ark, professionals built the Titanic. Thank you.
A life lived well is one that has happiness, highs, lows, and just some plain awful times we lived through. Poor mental health has been prominent in Lindy's life, including antenatal and postnatal depression. Lindy loves her family and friends, music, writing, and creating art, her cherished pets, and mostly her 4 sons. She hasn't mentioned that she's a good poet as well. Please welcome Lindy Jewett.
Hello. Thank you for being here today. It's fantastic to be a part of this Songs of Resilience TIMBA presentation. We all have a story. The only way is up. Our personal stories will inspire others to hopefully help themselves or encourage someone they know to talk about the messy head talk that can almost consume you when you are facing depression and anxiety. Don't stop believing. Life is a journey. There was a child who was sick, not life-threatening, but very real illness that was invisible. There was a teenager who became sicker and withdrawn. A checkered medical history, however very real, nothing that was going to kill me. Told there is nothing wrong with me. You're not sick. Doctors would say there's nothing wrong with her. Look at her rosy cheeks. Told you'll never amount to much and your peers will reject you. You will need to repeat by a high school principal. Finally, 5 years later, I was diagnosed. There was an endocrinologist who knew I was sick. I was diagnosed with ME, or chronic fatigue syndrome, as you may know it. ME is myalgic encephalomyelitis, which literally translates to muscle pain and inflammation in the brain and spinal cord. It rolls off my tongue easily, doesn't it? It was real. I had spent weeks at a time in bed with debilitating fatigue, migraine for months. This was very confusing, being told there's nothing wrong with you for years. Years of anguish and trauma. I was only a child. I'm going to finish now by reading you another one of my poems, if it will come up on my phone. Oh, there it is. I have so many poems that I've written since I was about 14, and this one is one that the first couple of lines go through my head, and that could happen for a couple of months sometimes before the rest of it just comes flowing out as soon as I sit down with a pen and paper. So this is called Getting Out of My Head. Collector of rust, dust and books never read, no time, no rhyme because I'm stuck in my head. There's thoughts swirling fast and dark, must be a way to go back, find the spark. Don't want to step back, the present's the place that fits right, too much rubbish back there, piles of shite. No pretending will ever mean it all to be true. No pretending will ever mean that's truly you. Looking past into the future, not the way through. Living right in this moment's the only clue. Unless you've been here, you've got no idea of the struggle within that goes under the radar. Pretense, ignorance from society is spread wide and far. Treading water amongst the rusty ravine, it's scary and murky, like nothing you've seen. Wading back to the eventual shoreline, being wrapped in the towel of now, you'll be just fine. The minute these words don't flow from my hand, it's then that I forget to understand. This is now not forward too much and never back. The glimmer of hope lights the way through the black. What anyone else thinks they know about you, quite frankly, is none of your business, and that's true. If you're still here in the dust and treasure, I applaud your courage. By the way, it is my pleasure. Thank you.
Last but not least is another man who has helped drive this, whose voice of reason was fantastic for us all within this process. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our last speaker, Daryl Armour. Daryl is a local bloke currently working here at the school. Sorry, did I drag you in on a non-school day? Today he will share some of his journey through drought. When the rains don't come and the grass don't grow, where do you go? When all hope seems lost, with sheep to feed, no money to pay, can I face another day? Please join me in welcoming Daryl.
No, it's not a Salvation Army ad. The opening video clip was part of the Red Shield appeal for the Salvation Army in 2006. We were a family on TV, on billboards across the country. Between that appeal and a fundraising luncheon at Parramatta Leagues Club, at which I spoke to 200 Sydney business executives about the personal effects of drought, we raised $1 million to place more rural councillors this side of the mountains where it counts for rural people. In a very tough and dark period in life, I look back and think that the provision of more rural councillors may well have provided life-saving changes and outcomes for many rural families. Hi, my name's Daryl, and I am a local here since 2007. I don't know whether that makes me a local at that stage, but I lived at Rye Park, 20k that way, since birth at 1961 through to 2007. I did my high school here at this school. I'm married to Robin. I have 5 kids and 12 3/4 grandkids. I've been a wool grower, a shearer, a wool classer, a wool buyer, a cabinet maker, a handyman, a lay pastor at the Baptist Church at Yass, a farm labourer, and a few other paying hobbies, mostly involving wood. My mental health journey begins in 2001, when we purchased my parents' farm. At the end, to add to our own place, giving us 632 hectares, running 4,000 sheep in a self-replacing 18-micron flock. And it stopped raining. Well, it seemed like it did. Not enough rain at critical times of the year. We needed 3 good years. We needed good seasons, we needed good wool prices, and we needed good sheep prices. Instead, we got 5 years of well below average on every aspect. 3 years into this extended dry, well, let's call a spade, 3 years into the millennial drought that lasted 7 years, the bank manager sits across the kitchen table from me and he looks at me and says, "Daryl, is there anything else that you can do?" $40,000 feed bill, $65,000 wool check, sheep selling for 20 cents a head or $1 a truckload, and I shot a fair few and buried them. Life certainly wasn't all beer and Skittles. I was waking at 2 a.m. in the mornings, stressing on how to support my family and how do I feed my sheep. And I can tell you that waking at 2 a.m. in the morning doesn't make it rain. Until one afternoon, we were interviewed by ABC Radio at the house about how we were coping with the drought. Yeah, typical media questions about costs and production and the effect on me and the family and what the future held and all those sorts of things. And then he turned to my wife and asked her what she feared most about the drought. And her response was somewhat gut-wrenching when she said, "When Daryl's late home, I look in the gun cupboard." I never knew. After the interview, he turned the recorder off and he looked at me in the eye and he said, "You need to see a doctor, mate. I've been where you are and I can tell the signs." Seemed like he'd hardly spoken the words and Robin was on the phone and made an appointment. Yes, I was suffering from anxiety and depression. Antidepressants, medication was prescribed by my doctor. They helped. They helped me sleep at night. If you can get a good night's sleep, you can mostly cope with the next day. And so the long journey to recovery began. Lots of decisions to make. My welfare, my family's well-being. What does the future look like from here on? What if this? What if that? On one hand, we could do this. On the other hand, we could do that. And I was fast running out of hands of what we were going to do. I was very mindful of the stress the situation was putting on my family. They could tell things weren't right for me. I was a bit shorter in the fuse than I mostly was. I yelled at the dog a lot more. It was hard to hide the pain and protect your family. Now, I never considered I was seriously suicidal, but I would be lying if I said I never thought about it. And I sure understand how a sudden turn of events can tip you over the edge. Something as simple as getting 2 mobs of sheep boxed can tip you over the edge on the wrong day. So we made the decision to sell one of our farms, the one that I'd bought off my father, but there were no takers. So after agonising about the future, we decided to sell both farms and I would go and do something else. Through heartache and tears, we sold the farm. We endured a clearing sale. We sent 25 years of sheep breeding to the abattoirs because we were still in drought and nobody wanted to buy them. It was tough on all of us and we all grieved in our own ways. So we packed our belongings and our what-ifs and moved here to Boorowa. Bought a block, built a home. I worked in a local business here making kitchens. We built nice hardwood furniture. I helped in the building supply part of the business, and I'm grateful for that opportunity to be employed. But my greatest support was the love of my family, of which 4 are here today, and my faith in God, and a hope in Christ that there would be a better future. Without that underpinning faith, I may never have made it. One of my son's comments probably summed it up. when we went on a road trip, he said, "Well, Dad, we may not have a farm, but I still have a father." And if it wasn't for that ABC radio interviewer being willing to speak a few direct words to me and challenge me about breaking the stigma of not talking about mental health, who knows what could happen. You can see a broken leg, but it's not so easy to see inside at a broken head or a broken heart. How many times do we hear after suicide or tragedy, "I didn't know," or "I had no idea"? So I sleep now. I still take an antidepressant, and I've developed coping mechanisms. My coping mechanism has become my woodwork shed, my man cave, if you like. I make stuff, jewellery boxes, furniture, whatever you like, out of native Australian hardwood. I do it when circumstances consume my mind. I head to the shed. My friends, I encourage you, if you're struggling with the day-to-day or a mental health concern, get a hobby. Find an outlet to divert your thought pattern. Mine's wood. Yours could be knitting. It could be golf or any other sport that you might like to play. My doctor recommended an early morning walk. My dad did hundreds of cross stitches in his retirement years to occupy his mind while he was in retirement. The options are endless. My doctor didn't recommend looking down the neck of an empty bottle. Excessive or compulsive alcohol is not a solution, but it's often a sign that there might be something underlying. Find something constructive to do. And I speak to you men, we need to learn how to talk. We need to find someone to talk to. See your doctor if you need to, but talk about what's bothering you. It's not a sign of weakness to speak up. In fact, it shows great strength to be able to share and to seek help and support for yourself. You know, the basic definition of a drought is the absence of adequate rain. In my case, it was the absence of adequate rain that directly affected my mental health journey and the guilt that followed the tough decisions that we had to make. The absence of adequate rain mostly runs hand in hand with the absence of adequate financial resources. Now, we are currently in a drought-declared shire, council area. So you may be sharing some of the same thoughts that I've shared. However, your drought may not have anything to do with rain. It could be the absence of adequate relationships, medical support, physical or mental health support, the absence of an income or quality of life. Maybe you have no general direction in life, or there's just that hollowness, the hollow emptiness that suppresses the real you. This afternoon may have triggered something in you during one of these real life journeys. If you think you need help, speak up. Better to speak now rather than to have your loved ones ask why. So my recovery is under control, but my journey is ongoing. Some days I don't give it another thought, and other days it's nipping at my heels. But I'm still here, and that makes me a survivor. Cheers.